nothing did happen. Guys, this is going to be game 1 of the best of 3 between Mineski and GGuard. Mineski's slight favorites, although not by much. GGuard did end up dropping a set yesterday, and that was a pretty convincing game, or a series of games between them and Signature Trust. It was very one-sided for Trust in both games, so GGuard maybe a little bit on tilt. Maybe they're going to end up losing 1,500 total in this GGuard challenge.
Yeah, at the moment, I believe that these are both the full 5-man rosters of both teams, although for Mineski, I'm not exactly sure. At the very least, for GGuard, 4 is net, and for Mineski, I know that Taiga is Cuckoo, but as far as... Oh no, they're all tagged up. Nice, okay, so they changed since they were in the lobby. Alrighty, so we're right into this draft, and we'll continue with it. Juggernaut Witch Doctor for GGuard and Earthshaker Storm for Mineski.
Yeah, we got a hell of a lot of Juggernaut play from GGuard's side. It seems to be one of the heroes that Ben is most comfortable with. Winter, well, the heroes that he's most comfortable with, or at least the heroes that he's been playing the most, are currently banned out in the Batrider and the Axe. So I feel like overall, from what I've seen of GGuard in playing or seeing their games from the challenge, if you put them out of their comfort heroes, then they really do tend to struggle. Like Winter will tear it up all day long as Axe. But he was put on Batrider the other day, and it just didn't seem fantastic. So, yeah, maybe GGuard are going to be pressured a little bit by that.
Outside of those two heroes, I'd like to see a Clockwork for Winter, one of his better heroes, but we'll just have to see how the draft progresses. At the moment, both teams have a decent raw power level in their heroes, although maybe slight favorites for Mineski. They have a lot of long-range ways to cancel the Witch Doctor Death Ward, or at least reliable ways to do so, with like an Orchid from the Storm and a Fissure from the Earthshaker. And just as a general rule, Storm is pretty good against Juggernaut, especially before Manta Style comes out, if it does.
And now GGuard, they pretty much have to spend a ban right now on Sniper, right? Like, they just got their asses kicked by a Sniper in the last series versus Signature Trust. So I'm pretty sure that in and of itself is going to make them fear the hero a little bit more. Also, it's Sniper. You don't just let the hoo-hoo-ha-ha get in without severely regretting your decision. They're not going to pick it up for themselves up against the Storm Spirit, and Mineski have already so much to protect the Sniper in the mid lane that they could put Sniper mid, have the Shaker, do the patrolling thing between mid and bottom or something like that, and put Storm Spirit safe, and really just have decent late game versus GGuard and really great lanes. So this, if it's not banned out from GGuard, then things can get really messy for them.
Yeah, they're either going to have to pick it into a Storm, which is suboptimal, but I think banning it out is just the safest and probably the best course of action here for them. But then again, it still leaves a lot of really high-tier heroes inside the pool, as with Omni Knight, Viper, and Morphling banned in the second stage, heroes that generally are let through. They're going to potentially run into a bit of an issue. It's going to be a Meepo ban from GGuard. Sniper just feels a little bit scarier than Meepo, in all honesty, especially when you have a Witch Doctor on your team. Generally a pretty good hero against Meepo.
Yeah, I feel like the ceiling of Meepo is a lot more dangerous than the ceiling of Sniper, but the consistency of Sniper makes it so that 9 times out of 10, 99 times out of 100, the Sniper is going to be a larger threat. And, well, Meepo banned out with Omni Knight. You're probably not going to see that every day. GGuard, I guess, would have gotten shut down pretty hard by the Guardian Angel at the very least, Witch Doctor Juggernaut will get brickwalled in their physical damage department there, but GGuard, they're just going to progress as if the Sniper doesn't exist, as if they already banned it out. It's a Lina pick for them, and that's all well and good. Get that one to Yamate, put him in the mid lane, be happy with that. But, yeah, for Mineski, they have a real powerhouse available to them.
Yeah, and I'd be surprised if they don't go for it, but even if they don't, their heroes are already pretty good. But as you already mentioned, Earthshaker and Storm Spirit are some of the best heroes to draw attention away from Sniper, and GGuard at the moment don't really have a great gap closer, although Lina and Juggernaut are great heroes in their own right, until Blink Daggers come out for both of them, which against the Sniper they'll probably do. It's going to be a little bit harder for them. Clockwork's only a pick for the time being, as Mineski are going to secure their offlane. At the moment, they have so many ways to initiate fights on their own terms, with Fissures, Storm Spirit zip-ins, and Clockwork hookshots. I'd expect Mineski to be opening up 80% of the fights at the moment.
Could you take a quick look at the stream to see if it's actually working?
It looks like it is not working. I'm refreshing now.
Are you kidding me, man? Like, I actually just didn't change anything except for plugging in my re-plugging in my mic. That's all I did. Are you kidding me?
Well, this isn't great.
Oh, god damn it. Well,
Radiant
do you think I should stop streaming and then turn it on again? Or do I just keep going and hope
Okay,
that it
does
works?
OBS tell you that you're live?
Oh yeah, I mean it has the green bar and everything. It has stop
Then I
streaming as a
would
button.
be tempted to say leave it be,
Well, it's clearly not working.
because, well, a lot of the time the delay doesn't kick in for a lot longer than it says.
This is 5 minutes and it delays at 2 minutes. Yeah, I'm just gonna quickly
Okay, fair
turn it
enough.
on and off because 5 minutes is way too long to wait. It will all work out in the end, but let's progress onwards as if nothing is wrong. Because Mineski, they've grabbed a Shadow Demon for themselves. An anti-burst hero, it's decent up against countering an Omni Slash, but Mineski, they have two really defensive support heroes, and then two pretty aggressive other heroes in the Storm Spirit Clockwork, so their draft maybe is pulling in two different directions a little bit.
Yeah, the Shadow Demon pick in particular feels a little bit wonky for me. It's pretty nice at kiting around the Juggernaut and being annoying to the Jug when he's going for Omni Slashes with defensive disruptions, but they already have the Shaker. Shadow Demon and Earthshaker, although it's a supporting duo that I have seen before, it kind of feels a little lackluster. It's just super, super defensive. Granted, they are some of the better defensive supports, but unless you're setting up for something like a Torrent, a Leshrac, or a Marana Arrow, Shadow Demon's always a little bit eh. I would have much rather seen something like a Skyrath Mage.
Well, Shadow Demon's like really good versus Skyrath Mage. Like he's really good versus those very clear, I'm just going to nuke down this one person type strategies that GGuard currently don't really have. Like Juggernaut, Lina can sometimes get to that point where they want to do something similar to that, but it is very hard to actually dodge that damage because the damage comes out so very quickly. Like Mystic Flare, that's fast damage, but if they're stuck in the cogs and then you see the Skyrath Mage approaching, you know that the Mystic Flare is coming. It's going to be coming every single time. So yeah, the Shadow Demon doesn't really have great things to block. It's going to be that Marana ban out from GGuard, so trying to eliminate the combos at least as best they can. And then a pretty easy Lion ban out there from Mineski. Just going to protect their Storm Spirit a little bit more. GGuard, not with the most CC to deal with the Storm. LSA and Cask, though technically both stuns, they are really not what you want up against the Storm Spirit.
Yeah, by no means are they reliable at any point of the game, really. They want something a little bit harder than that for GGuard's side, and well, at the moment, what's available to them? Maybe just something like a Sand King for net would be nice, although I usually wouldn't suggest it, or a Disruptor. Okay, that's fair enough. GGuard going to pick up that hero, is going to offer them an instant silence and a pretty long duration one to up against the Storm Spirit, offering nice utility.
Yeah, so good, we're online now. I see it, it's working, everything is fine, nobody panic. So Disruptor is the pick for GGuard. Yeah, this is the right type of silence and the right type of CC to deal with the Storm Spirit and to deal with the Clockwork as well. Typically isn't really super mobile once he gets in there with his cogs. So he might be jammed up in a kinetic field and a static storm and just very quickly dying. For Mineski, this Disruptor pick is, I think, disruptible, or disruptionable from the Shadow Demon. You could cancel Glimpse, correct me if I'm wrong. Glimpse has some very, very awkward mechanics, but I think Disruption saves. I'm not sure.
I want to say it does, but then again, as you said, there are some really wonky mechanics, so that's something we're probably just going to have to wait and see. Sniper's going to come out from Mineski, and although the draft ends up taking a little bit of a weird turn, in the end it settles down to a pretty comfortable spot for both teams, I want to say. I'm going to favor Mineski slightly, as there's no great way to get up into Sniper's face, but if GGuard get off to a good start and are able to get the luxury of a Blink Dagger on their Jug or a Blink Yules on the Lina, they could remedy that fact pretty easily. At the moment, well, a lot of damage from both sides is the main takeaway. I'm really interested to see how the Shadow Demon performs for Mineski. He's really the biggest question mark for me.
Well, the Shadow Demon makes a lot more sense if you know, if Mineski, if you knew that Mineski were going to pick up this sniper, right? Like him and Clockwork and Earthshaker, they're all, again, fairly defensive heroes, or at least heroes that can play fairly defensively. And when you're talking about a sniper, when you're talking about Juggernaut or a Bristleback, just charging the sniper's face, putting the sniper in a bubble, putting up some cogs, putting up a wall, is probably the best thing that you could do to actually save his life. And then if you have a Force Staff especially, you'll probably get him out from there on out. So yeah, the sniper, I mean, we mentioned it before, we were kind of surprised that Mineski didn't pick it up. It seemed like they just really wanted to make sure that the coast was clear before they committed to a hero that can sometimes get pretty hard countered. And in this game, GGuard don't really have any of the hard counters. They have a couple of softer counters in the Bristleback and the burst damage from Lina. You catch the sniper in a Yule Scepter combo and he's probably going to die. But outside of that, for Mineski, this sniper is probably as safe as he can be.
Well, to introduce our lineups formally for GGuard, we're going to have Ling playing on the Witch Doctor, Net on the Disruptor, Ben playing on the Jug, Yamate on the Lina going towards mid, and Winter is going to be playing the Bristleback.
And for Mineski, they're going to put Jay on the Sniper. Jesse Vash is going to be on the Clockwork with Oa on the Shaker. Taiga, I believe it's Cuckoo, is on the Storm Spirit, and then G is on the Shadow Demon. That also might... is he just G? It's been a while since I've seen Mineski. I'm pretty sure... I might be just G. Okay. He's going to be playing the Shadow Demon, and we're all good. Boots of Speed first on the Shadow Demon. No boots first on the Shaker with 4 Clarities. This is a really aggressive build from the Shadow Demon that I really wouldn't expect from them. Usually you could get away with a little bit more regen. Since Shadow Demon, though you can sometimes initiate some fights, it's really only if you have a Mirana on your team.
Yeah, I do like boots first usually on Shadow Demon. We have really good disables to follow up after the fact that need that setup. But Fissure usually is the skill to be doing this setup. Although maybe it's going to get them in range or buy them the time in order to get everything perfectly aligned, and that could work out in their favor. Yeah, I don't know. Shadow Demon is a great defensive support, and I'm not sure how much aggression they'll be able to get out of it. Regardless, she'll want boots eventually, and I don't think it's really going to stop much of anything. Bristleback, he's going to be able to put a little bit of pressure in lane, but not much. Even just 1v1, the Sniper dominates that lane. If you have the threat of a Fissure block, the Bristleback really won't be putting much pressure at all.
We can already see the fact that Shaker is going to be on the roam for the most part. Jesse Vash, as a Clockwork off lane, it's not going to be the best lane for him, but hey, Clockwork always finds a way, especially when he gets a little bit of help from the Shaker from time to time. And outside of that, patrolling in between that lane and in the mid lane, if you land the Fissure, if you set up with 1 or 2 shrapnel charges, then the mid lane matchup, Yamate, though he does have quite the stat heavy build, is not going to be surviving just because shrapnel, once the layers are already down, once you're narrowed into a funnel, then Lina really can't do much except for try to turn around and out DPS a sniper, but at that point it's probably going to be too late. So this lane is going to be pretty rough for Yamate in mid, and Yamate just as a player really just excels when he's able to snowball and get off to an early start. This doesn't seem to be the case, or it doesn't seem it's going to be likely in this lane.
Witch Doctor has actually made his way all the way down towards bottom, and Storm Spirit is going to be the farming carry for Mineski. Where at the very least, that's how they're going to lane him. He's going to get a very easy D-ward off over in the sidelines, and really not much more than that is going to end up happening. Pretty interesting lane assignment. I honestly don't think that GGuard had needed the Witch Doctor top to zone out the clock. Disruptor usually does a decent job by himself.
And at a certain point, even the Juggernaut can do it. Really, only if he grabs another point in Blade Fury, he'll be doing it effectively. But once he gets Phase Boots up, and he should be pretty quickly, just because he will farm a little bit faster than the opponent's Clockwork, then he could just trade hits all day long. And if he gets caught in the cogs, it's not a big deal. You either drop Healing Ward, or you drop the Blade Fury, and then, well, you're probably going to get away from that one pretty much no matter what happens. So this is a fine top lane for the GGuard side. It's going to be a lot better for Jesse Vash than it ordinarily would be, just because it's up against only one ranged support hero, and this is only a Disruptor. He has a glimpse eventually, but he doesn't even have that right now, so Jesse Vash is able to bully the enemies a little bit in this lane, and really just get a little bit more experience. And for Clockwork, that's all you want, that's all you ever need.
Yep, well, at the time being, these lanes should end up being pretty static with no major killing potential in any of these lanes, unless one of the offlaners gets too comfortable. Although that's possible, it's not going to happen for quite a while. Which team does this passive laning stage actually favor?
I think it usually is going to be pretty even, just having super passive lanes, but in this scenario where GGuard don't really have any great ways of handling the sniper, the passive laning stage means that Sniper is getting his levels, he's getting his farm, and the quicker he gets his farm, the more and more threatening he's going to be, more so than other games, because GGuard don't have a Storm Spirit, and they don't have a Clockwork, so this is going to be fine for Mineski, I think, just because the Sniper is having such an easy time.
Fair enough, over in the sidelines, Oa going to get in a fist fight with Winter. They're going to put him in the bubble, Fissure block him off, and now Winter's in a heap of trouble. He's cursed up, pulled back by the storm, and Cuckoo looks to be drawing first blood, although it's taking a little bit longer than most offlaners. Doesn't matter, Oa draws first blood on the Earthshaker.
Oh man, Bristleback getting pretty far in. You don't really expect storms nowadays to go for Electric Vortex. That's usually not picked up until, hell, really late, like after Ball Lightning late. So the fact that Taiga actually had that one is going to be really useful in actually securing that kill on the Bristle. And Winter, well, dying his first time in this lane, that's not really setting a great precedent right now, although he was very out of position. It's going to free up the Storm Spirit to handle the lane a little bit more comfortably. He's level 4 right now versus the only level 3 of the Bristleback, and that means that Shadow Demon and Oa can go around and look for a little bit of blood elsewhere. They have their eyes set on Yamate. Yamate has been last hitting pretty decently so far, but that might very, very quickly change. A Fissure, a Shadow Demon bubble, and with only Ling here as defense with only a cask, Yamate's in a hell of a lot of trouble. There's the bubble, cursed up as well. Fissure is there, plus the shrapnel. Yamate is almost completely blocked in, but he's going to die regardless. Going to try to turn around for Jay, but he's going to fall short. Ling going to take some damage on his retreat, and it's a very easy kill for Mineski.
Very straightforward. As you said, it was almost a perfect block, and that is one of the advantages of having these two supports on the team. They do offer a lot of ways to give area control with the Shadow Demon illusions and the Fissure, but yeah, there was no way for Lina to run up towards top. Glimpse back onto Jesse Vash into the Blade Fury coming out from Ben. They'll be able to chase him down. The Cogs are not going to push back the Juggernaut. He's going to get smacked down. It's 2-1. Our kill score as GGuard get put on the board.
And there's nothing more satisfying than killing someone off after the Blade Fury with just one decisive crit. Feels so good every time as a Juggernaut. Jay, though he's going to get chased down by Ling, I think he should be fine. In fact, Ling's got to be the one in trouble. He does have a haste rune outside of a perfect Fissure block, and that's not going to happen. He's going to be just fine. But yeah, the kill is going to go for the top lane. Jesse Vash having a little bit of difficulty, and that was pretty much bound to happen, especially once Disruptor gets a freaking level 4 glimpse, or I guess a level 2 glimpse, being level 4. Jesse Vash is still in a little bit of trouble because Ling is here, Maledict, as well as 1 point cask. Field goes up. Jesse Vash is going to put up the Cogs, however, which is going to prevent Ben from coming in. And without that Blade Fury, which Ben did invest an extra point into, he's not going to be able to contribute that much. Phase Boots, only 1 point Blade Dance. It's a pretty mediocre hero Juggernaut at this stage.
Yeah, they really needed the glimpse or anything else to pull the clockwork back into that Juggernaut, but there really just wasn't a timing for it. And in the end, it's going to just remain at the status quo, which is still fine. The Juggernaut's farming, and there's nothing the clockwork can do to stop that. But then again, so is the Storm, and it's a pretty similar story for the Bristleback, although Winter is getting a little bit more CS. He doesn't turn on as hard as a Clockwork. Once you get level 6 for Clock, you can set up kills. The same isn't the case mid lane. Jay going to get a Laguna Blade to the head, and Yamate is going to crater poor Hoo Hoo Ha Ha with a little help from Ling.
I love it. He gets assassinated just as like a harassment tool from the sniper, and then Yamate just goes in just like, okay, well, you use your ultimate on me, I'll use my ultimate on you, and we'll see who comes out ahead. Of course, it wasn't exactly fair because Witch Doctor was there as well, but yeah, that's what Sniper really has to be careful of. If you do somehow close that distance, and it's a lot easier right now than it will be later on because his take game is only level 1, and he had no supports there, then you'll very easily be able to put him in a body bag. Lina getting her first kill of the game, and as I said before, she's already doing pretty decently. However, it's going to be Storm to run into Ling. Assassination is there. That means Vision is up, and Ling is going to die. Boom, headshot? No, it's going to be the Storm Spirit to grab it. Gets hit with the Maledict and a Dragon Slave, but he will be just fine. It's only level 1 Maledict, I believe. It is kind of an underwhelming skill.
For safe lane Storms, Cuckoo's been very active compared to the norm. Being involved in those 2 kills where usually you wouldn't move the Storm Spirit off of the safe lane. This is going to give a little bit more space to Winter on the Bristleback, but still worth it since he got those kills with really not much invested. Currently sitting on Power Treads, Magic Stick, and Null Talisman. Not much else on top of that. He's going to ferry out a bottle now.
Right, so he's just going to go for more or less standard, just basic items type build for the Storm right now. He could go for an Orchid this game, although it's by no means a necessity. Grabbing a Soul Ring into a fast Bloodstone and then putting up the pressure for Mineski seems like another attractive way to go for them. Really depends on how they feel like their draft is best suited. If they feel like Jay's getting enough farm to just go straight for the late game, then yeah, go ahead and do that. Otherwise, Sniper, as far as carry heroes are concerned, isn't too terrible at the early mid-game type pushing, because he does have Shrapnel close to being maxed out and Assassinate, both of which are great tools early on. Owa's going to get jumped over towards bottom, and Cass is going to bounce, and of course stun him every single time, because that's always how it goes when you're Shaker, and he's very easily going to be brought down by GGuard.
Yeah, with only 1 creep nearby, the Earthshaker really didn't stand much of a chance. Even if it's just Winter, he needs to give him quite a wide berth, but Ling has made a lot of work happen with just a handful of rotations. Phase Boots are now out for the Sniper, so gank him's a little bit harder, and well, he's also going to have a lot more lane presence. They'll need to land some sort of disable to actually kill him off. At the moment, Mineski are going to pull back as Cuckoo farms up a little bit of a neutral stack, but the large creep is still going to remain there. He didn't have enough health and mana to continue.
And Jay will take that one out. So a little bit of team jungling there for Mineski, sharing is caring, and all of that. Storm Spirit is leading the net worth right now. Everyone else is pretty much neck and neck, more or less where they want to be. Maybe Jesse Vash a little bit further behind, has been struggling a little bit in net worth, but he's closing on that level 6 mark, and as I said before, you can get a little bit far behind, as you're pretty far behind as Clockwork, and still have your impacts in the game, assuming your hookshot are on point. And well, when Ling is standing still, Disruptor is on the field, hookshot is going to be a pretty easy skill to land, and the follow-up should be there decently as well. So Clockwork, though not active yet in this game, is very quickly approaching that point. And same thing can't really be said for GGuard. There's no level where they really get turned on, although Winter is getting a lot of farm down towards bottom lane, because currently there's no one here. This Bristleback is already level 7, he's closing in his power tread, so if Mineski continue ignoring this Bristleback, they may pay the price later on.
Yeah, and he's also sitting on a haste rune at the moment. A solo support, if they wander into this lane, could be in a lot of trouble. Yeah, Bristleback, as far as offlaners are concerned, does kind of rely on getting ahead, and he's going to do that very nicely with the 4-stack of Ancients, too. Although this is scouted out by the clock, they don't actually block that, and I'm not sure they can really contest unless they commit a lot of heroes. Winter is going to get a large infusion of gold.
Yeah, I mean, really, Mineski's team comp isn't great at crashing this type of thing. Sniper, when he's 3 or 4 slotted, yeah, he could clear that one out in the blink of an eye with his Mask of Madness, I would assume, but yeah, not at right now. This is something that pretty much only the Bristleback can do, at least in this game. Only the Bristleback will be able to clear it out, especially with the haste rune. Even if someone on Mineski does come in, there's no way that they're actually going to catch up to Winter, let alone kill him. They will continue spotting him out, and here comes the Shadow Demon, here comes Storm Spirit, but they're going to actually find Ling. Poor Witch Doctor. He's going to get cursed up, and he's not going to get stuck in those illusions, but chased down by the Storm. One more hit's going to kill him off. Laguna from Yamate is available, and they're going to catch up to the Storm Spirit for that blade. That's going to kill off the Storm, but here comes Jesse Vash from behind, looking for those cogs. Will get fissure walled, at least Yamate will, off to the side, but the Assassinate will take him out as they catch the Bristleback in the cogs. Ben is going to arrive as well, will spin down the Earthshaker. It's going to be a kill for the Juggernaut. On the way out, it's going to be net. Disruptor is in quite a bit of trouble. Jay, just with his physical right click, is destroying this Disruptor's HP pool. Now he's going to close in close, give the Disruptor a nice little hug, and then finish the job. And Static Storm or not, should be able to walk out of here home free, although Ling has revived and is coming in from the mid-tier 1. Jay is really quick with those phase boots and will be faster with this Mask of Madness, plus he's salving up, so he will be just fine. A triple kill for Jay.
In the end, that looks pretty good for Mineski, even though they do lose their Storm, and well, if they lose Jay here, it's not going to look as nice. He's going to get maledicted up, paralyzing cast, but with nothing to bounce to. Looks like he's going to be home free. Now the Storm Spirit zips in, long zip in onto Ling. It's going to drain his mana pool, but more than enough to get that kill. Pretty straightforward one for the Storm. That is going to tip the scales pretty widely into Mineski's favor. That's your Mask of Madness up for the Sniper. Usually we don't see large-scale fights at this time in the game, but GGuard really wanted to protect that Ancient stack, and Mineski really didn't want to give it away to them. In the end, the Ancients don't fall towards the Mineski side, but they still take the favorable kill score.
I wouldn't really expect Mineski to make that type of initiation without first having their Clockwork be level 6. They're going to jump on the Winter down towards bottom. Demonic Purge plus the Curse is going to do a lot of work onto Bristleback with the hook shot in. The cogs are now up. Winter has to turn his back and hope for the best. Here comes Ling. One cog bump back, though, will kill off the Bristleback, but the cask is bouncing, which will slow down both G and Vash, but now the Earthshaker comes in, which means Ling cannot chase this one out by himself. Maledict is still only level 1. Yeah, it's level 2 at this point, but they will not be enough to kill off the Clockwork. They will take out, however, the Sniper over in mid. A glimpse into a Omni Slash, yeah, you're not going to survive that as a Sniper.
No, and for the majority of the game, you're not going to. Ben's going to find himself a really easy kill, 3-0-0 on the Juggernaut. He was pretty late to the party in the fight around the Ancients, but he does get a kill there, and Ben is still doing quite a lot. Hastrune's going to spawn down in the bottom rune spot. Attempted wall off from the Earthshaker, but isn't going to stop Ben from getting it eventually. With this haste, looks like he's just going to farm up the rest of the Ancients. Even though he can't do stacks very well, these two creeps with the Quelling Blade, Mask of Madness are going to very easily fall to him.
And he's closing in on his Yasha. This is an item that the Juggernaut is going to have very shortly that the Sniper really won't. So they've gone for more or less the exact same build. and with the Yasha advantage, well, we could clearly see where the farm is going for GGuard. The problem being is that they still have to worry about the Storm Spirit initiation, which, by the way, is going to go straight towards Yamate. Big pullback onto him, and with the Assassinate coming, Yamate struggling to land a shot onto the Storm Spirit. They will drop the field and the Static Storm, however, will for the most part miss. But here comes the Juggernaut. He does not miss. Fissure, though, will hold him out, plus the hook shot as well. Ben suddenly overcommitted with Jay in the backline just firing off. He's going to take down one. Now he's looking for another. Winter and Net. They can't do enough versus these 5 heroes. That's going to be the Bristleback down. Can they chase down the Disruptor? It looks like they'll decide not to do that. Mercy from Mineski. I think they probably could have killed him off if they really wanted to, but man, what a fissure from the Shaker, and then what a follow-up from Jesse Vash, and what positioning from Jay. It all works so well together, and that's really the threat of Sniper with all these other heroes. You put up barriers so that the enemy team simply can't close in, and they don't really have many other choices but to just run.
Cuckoo on the Storm Spirit has been initiating these fights so aggressively, and it's because he can. He jumps in, drains his entire mana pool, he gets the kill, and then he just kind of trust falls into his team. With defensive fissures and Shadow Demon disruptions and what have you, he's able to get away with it. I think that answers the question of whether disruption and glimpse interact. And it looks like they don't really. The disruption got pulled back, or maybe the cast animation was just really long and he actually cast the disruption while he was already back inside the enemy side of the map, but in the end, Storm Spirit is going to be saved by that. Down towards bottom, Earthshaker is going to die, Disruptor, and Lina, with a little help from Ling, are going to very easily pick off that solo support.
Yeah, Shaker's still not having the best of times because it's a support Shaker, and well, life sometimes just sucks for him. He has his arcane boots, which is not terrible for 14 minutes in, but now's about the time where you want to start saving up gold for your Blink Dagger, and only 600 gold towards that is not exactly impressive. But even without the Blink Dagger, as long as he's more defensively positioned than offensively positioned, a Fissure will most of the time just keep his entire team safe, as we've already seen like 3 or 4 times that, in fact, in this game. So they're going to destroy the tier 1 tower G-Guard pretty much without a hitch. That's going to be Eul Scepter nearing completion for the Lina, and her solo kill potential has just increased by quite a bit. But really, Eul Scepter, as nice as it is, isn't really going to be your complete saving grace when Storm Spirit has such a high level, and he is so much backup. So you could save yourself for a couple of seconds with that Euls, but that's not going to be enough time because you won't run away from the Storm Spirit fast enough.
And aggressively, I'm not sure this is going to get her very many kills. The Shadow Demon, unless the Light Striker is perfectly timed, can self-destruct, and it's unlikely that any of these heroes are alone. If she tries going onto the Sniper, for instance, you'll have a Fissure 9 times out of 10 to disrupt that initiation, excuse me. 4-man smoke coming out from Mineski as they'll look to collapse onto G-Guard. They're farming up their woods.
And the Storm Spirit's mana pool, pretty deep at this point, though not completely full, is getting regenerated pretty darn quickly with an O-Staff. The smoke is not going to do that much, it looks like. They're going to rejoin up with the Clockwork. He's also going to be, coming in, but this time the Clockwork is spotted. No one else is spotted by Mineski except for this Sniper. And it looks like for G-Guard, they're thinking about it. Winter's definitely thinking about it. He has 2 supports behind him, but he doesn't know that it's a lot more than just the Sniper, who's once again in perfect position. Static Storm goes up, which will catch the Shadow Demon. That should be his death, but they lock down Ben in exchange. Jesse Bash with the hookshot. After the Echo Slam from the Shaker, they'll take down the Juggernaut in exchange for only the Shadow Demon, who's going to get glimpsed back right into the Death Ward. But now here comes the Ball Lightning and the Assassination. That's him dead immediately. Winter's still trying to go for Jesse Bash, but Jay, he's firing off the entire time, and Winter, he's going to get fissured off again from Oa. These fissures have been absolutely amazing, dude. That's 1 for 3 in favor of Mineski. The Clockwork gets to live, albeit barely, and G-Guard, they spent so much to try to kill off a support Shadow Demon, but with that disruption, it takes much, much longer than it really should, and they end up paying the price.
Jay was left alone almost the entire fight just to shoot away, and that's probably the happiest you're going to see a Sniper. Really a perfect situation, set up for by the defensive play coming out from the Earthshaker and Clockwork in particular, just throwing up so many walls and disabling the enemy targets. The Juggernaut was not able to do anything that fight, getting Echo Slammed and then Hookshot to follow up. He couldn't get off his Omni Slash. If they got Omni Slash off, I'm tempted to say that that's a completely different engagement, as the Clockwork would have died almost instantly, and maybe even the Earthshaker too.
And that was probably Mask of Madness active. I feel like Ben took a lot more damage than he really should have there from a level 1 Echo Slam with no unit amplification. So I'm going to say that that was Mask of Madness turned on, just so that he could get into that fight a little bit faster. And of course, Mask of Madness does have a downside, guys. With the prevalence of Juggernaut, sometimes it doesn't seem like that, or the prevalence of the item in general. But yeah, it does hurt a lot if you're going to run into that many stuns, and when your Mask of Madness is turned on, you really can't turn it off, which is a little bit unfortunate. But yeah, 15-8 right now on Mineski. They're starting to pull away in farm. Sniper is now very comfortably leading the Juggernaut. Storm Spirit is following suit as well with the Orchid completed. Well, the Storm Spirit has a lot of kill potential. Again, he's had a lot of kill potential, but really it's just the fact that he has more mana pool to work with. He can jump in a little bit further in, and well, hopefully for the Storm Spirit, the rest of his team will still be able to follow up, but so far it's been working out really well for the Storm. This time, however, GGuard, they're the ones to do the smoking. They're right across the river right now. They have a pretty good idea on where Mineski are, and they're looking to catch Taiga as he grabs the 18-minute rune. Oh, they're going to catch him hook, line, and sinker, although no stuns. They do have a glimpse, but they can't quite get in range. Ball ending out. Very defensive play from the Storm. Now the hook shot forward. Jesse Vash is going to catch net in the cogs. That's going to be a kill with the fissure onto 3 in the background. They'll make sure Jesse Vash doesn't take much damage there. Ling is going to get almost a full channel off the Death Ward, but the Maledict won't kill off this Clockwork, and now the Witch Doctor is also going to die. Dude, Oa has been so freaking on point with this Shaker. He deserves his Blink Dagger, like, right now.
Unfortunately for him, he's not going to have it right now, but it's going to be coming at a reasonable time. 139, it's not the flashiest of KDAs, but he is setting up for his team so very nicely and making sure that all of their initiations go off without a hitch. Mineski are really being bailed out. The defensive play is really on point.
And, well, I mentioned before how their draft is kind of pulling in 2 different directions. Usually you want your team to have a clear direction of what we're going to do. If you put this much stock into a Shaker always performing, then you can get away with so much more than you ordinarily can. Usually that's not the case for Shaker. They're going to catch a Storm Spirit, though, with an LSA combo. Silence of Yamate is going to delay that combo to just an LSA, and now with a big ball lightning out, he's going to TP and be home safe and sound. Orchid on Storm Spirit, pretty much an instant cast, if not a complete instant cast, and well, that's going to be him surviving. Over in the mid lane in the meantime, Jay's just constantly farming up. He has a BKB. No, that's not a BKB. That's a Sanj and a Mithril Hammer. Okay, so SNY and then BKB, so eventually it'll all come together. But he's getting a lot of farm, and that's the bottom line. That the Juggernaut now only has his Yasha, I guess, can complete his SNY, but man, the Sniper is there and a Mithril Hammer ahead.
The bigger issue is that Juggernaut's just not joining these fights or isn't finding any angles to actually use Omni Slash, whereas the Sniper has been involved in 10 kills with the team, as Mineski just have so many ways to initiate, where GGuard really don't. The Eul Scepter initiation from the Lina is about as good as it gets for GGuard, and right now it's just not good enough. We saw the failed initiation on the Storm, and really it's kind of unfortunate that GGuard don't have anything super reliable. They have a mech on Winter, and that helps for sure. But they kind of rely on Mineski getting caught out of position. If Mineski are the ones to start all of the engagements, I don't really see any going well for GGuard.
And that's, again, where we come down to the draft. When you have a team with a Storm Spirit and a Clockwork, and very soon, a Blink Dagger Shaker, the odds of GGuard actually getting initiation on Mineski outside of a smoke usage is really, really small. And hell, even with a smoke usage, like, they will be able to maybe find the Shadow Demon as they did previously, and yeah, bring down the Shadow Demon, but locking down and killing off the Storm Spirit, that's a different question entirely. Jay is, of course, the ideal target, but once he gets his BKB, he's even going to be a pretty difficult kill, not to mention the fact that, oh, with his Blink is probably going to be in position very quickly for a defensive play, whether it's a Blink Echo or a Blink Fissure, something is going to come out from him. So GGuard, they need initiation right now, but they don't really have the correct heroes for it. Mineski grabbed all the initiators and banned out the Bat Rider, so yeah, for GGuard, it was pretty much bound to happen like this. They still need to get on top of Jay, but now that he has Sanj and Yasha completed, he has 1200 HP, plus near max movement speed, or I think complete max movement speed when he has all of his items turned on, so catching up to him is pretty darn difficult.
Alrighty then, we now have a Mantis style up for the Juggernaut, so he's going to be a lot more survivable when it comes to Storm Spirit initiations, and his damage output is still pretty significant even though he hasn't gone for very many raw damage items. There's an Invis Rune on Yamate, and maybe this can set up nicely for GGuard, maybe the initiation edge that they need. They'll open up on a Jay, blow him to shreds with his Mask of Madness activated, he melts. They'll Eul's up the Storm Spirit, but there's no further way that they can catch him. Fissure onto 2, onto the Earthshaker, trying to scare the retreat of everybody else. They're going to catch out, poor Shadow Demon can't even get off the disruption before he gets ripped apart by the Omni Slash. GGuard find a good fight, and a lot of that's due to having an Invis Rune on Yamate. It works out.
Yeah, if you don't have an Invis Rune there, then most likely the way you initiate is by Eul Sceptering him and then waiting for him to land to unleash your Lina combo. And if that was to be the case, Mineski, they would have had so much time and prep to actually jump in and save that Sniper. or at least make a play and trade the sniper's life off. Like, Earthshaker was in a perfect position for that, to blink Echo Slam, decided to bail out instead. I think that's the correct decision there from Oa. And of course the Clockwork and Shadow Demon have also gotten into position with the time that the Eul Scepter does provide the sniper. So the only reason that works is because they get the LSA combo without using that Eul Scepter, and that is not going to happen all the time. Invis Rune, I mean, I guess you get a Shadow Blade for it to happen more often, but yeah, you probably aren't going to see that from Alina anytime soon. So it's a nice little series of kills for GGuard. They clean up Roshan straight afterwards, give the double life to the Juggernaut, and they're not completely right back in the driver's seat, but those are the type of plays that they actually have to make. Find a pickoff, and then take some sort of team fight as the Mineski side try to retreat.
Alrighty then, Mineski are going to have to pull back and regroup. At the moment, they're going to be working towards a Bloodstone on their Storm, and a BKB for the Sniper. Jay eventually is going to drop all of his items in pretty much the assumed places. For GGuard, their next major leaps in power, actually, no, Yamate's going to go for a BKB on the Lina. I'm not sure I like this. An Aghanim Scepter just feels like it's such a good item to pass up, and although BKB is going to make his initiations more reliable, yeah, I'm not sure I'm feeling it. Either way, we'll just have to see how these fights go, or the next couple of fights go, once he gets the BKB, to see if it's really worthwhile.
Well, I mean, BKB in this particular game is going to be blocking a lot of skills. Mineski don't really have anything that cuts through that BKB, so once she pops that, except for, of course, the sniper's physical right clicks, the Lina should, for the most part, be safe. The problem is, first of all, for Net, he's going to get caught in the cogs, and Jesse Vash is going to tear him a new one. Blade Mail active, but now Yamate and Ben are going to be awaiting his downfall, although they're going to miss the LSA, Omni Slash, and Laguna. Oh my god, that's really, really a dead Clockwork. In the meantime, though, they're going to catch Ling. Stray Fissure there is going to connect from Oa, and then the right-click follow-up from the Sniper is going to make it a 2-for-1 in total for Mineski. That's not exactly the best trade for them since they do lose their Clockwork, but if they get a tower in exchange, that's going to be just fine. Yeah, the BKB versus Aghanim Scepter for Lina. I do feel like GGuard need a little bit more damage right now. They're depending on the Juggernaut to do that damage, and it's fine at a certain point, but that certain point is going to be a little bit hard to come to just because Mineski have so many defensive tools versus the Juggernaut that I do think that Aghanim Scepter might be a little bit better, but Yamate just fearing for his life, and really can't blame him for that.
No, for sure. At the moment, Mineski take a tier 2 tower in mid. That's going to end up tipping the scales into their favor, even though it's an offlaner for 2 supports. They're the one to actually take a map objective off the back of it. That's your Bloodstone up for the Storm Spirit, 19 to 11. Their net worth advantage is not unsurmountable, and well, at the moment, GGuard are still in this, but it's just a little bit of a harder game for them. They rely very heavily on executing almost perfectly, and when you have so many disruptive tools, as Mineski do, that's pretty hard.
Well, GGuard, they're not too far behind in the net worth race, so they still are very much so in the running. They're going to smoke up and look for some blood now. It might catch the Earthshaker, maybe. There's a double damage rune on the floor, so whoever they do catch is in for a whirl of hurt. They actually might catch the Sniper. Jay is going to run the perfect direction to actually get out of there, and he'll reinforce the mid lane, which is being pushed right now by Ben and Winter. Jay, he's in a pretty good position to defend against this, but not in a great position defensively in total. Ling's going to find him. BKB is popped. Omni Slash not available, and Jay will have to use that BKB to retreat, but he could turn around for a little bit of damage onto Ben. They do see Winter as well, and off to the south, they catch Yamate in the cogs. He will get fissured, assassinated, point blank almost, and that's going to be 1 kill. Now the big ball running forward from the Storm Spirit. He's going to go straight for Net and Ling at the same exact time. Net will be kept alive because of the mech. Now the Storm Spirit very low on mana. He's going to go for Ling anyway. Winter's just not doing enough damage to peel off the Storm Spirit, who ball lightning's up to the high ground. He'll be just fine. Ben, in the meantime, he's on the run. Jay, blocked by his own illusions. I think Ben's going to spin, TP out Fissure. Not going to do it. And they will get away, albeit barely with the Juggernaut, but I guess at the same time, Storm Spirit barely gets away. That's a 3-for-0. As Mineski, they just come in, and they come in so hard. That Storm Spirit Ball Lightning, man, it did a lot of damage. Usually, Ball Lightning isn't really a damage tool. That time it was.
Yeah, when you're so clumped up in that little high ground area that GGuard were standing on, with all 3 of those heroes taking the damage from the Ball Lightning, Cuckoo doing a lot of work in that last fight. We have a smoke purchased up by the Witch Doctor. GGuard, it just seems that these fights are so hard to come by since they don't have proper lockdown for Cuckoo on the Storm. The BKB usage on the Sniper, maybe it was a little bit suboptimal. You'd like to be using that BKB to consistently get damage out, but regardless, they blow all of their kit into that BKB, with the exception being the Static Storm, but Disruptor really didn't find a good angle, and that just seems to be dying every single one of these fights.
And that's just what the Storm Spirit's job is going to be. Like, going for Yamate, though, it is probably a little bit more appealing on paper. He has a Yule Scepter, so if you go for him, you're not going to be able to actually kill him off, and you're going to have to spend some time where you put your damage into the Lina, and it isn't really going to get the kill, therefore it's not really worth putting damage into in the first place. So might as well go for the only real hero on GGuard that has that hard counter. Static Storm would be the best tool to actually lock down the Storm Spirit in theory, but when you're silenced, when you're hitting the, when you're stuck in the electric vortex, Disruptor can't do anything, and no one on GGuard can really help him either, with Taiga zipping around every which way. So this is, again, coming down to targeting for Mineski. They're letting their Storm Spirit just go to town on whoever he wants, and with so much mana regeneration, it really doesn't matter how far behind you are as Disruptor, you're going to get caught, and as Disruptor, you can't really be too far behind. Glimpse is a really long range, but Static Storm really doesn't.
I've kind of been a little bit disappointed by Winter's performance this game. I don't think it's his fault necessarily, but he did get a lot of room in the early game, and I just really haven't felt the impact that the mech and getting that farm onto the bristleback has had for the team inside these fights.
Well, I mean, yeah, it is a little bit hard to actually see what he has done, but then again, I think that really just comes down to how well the Shaker and Shadow Demon are playing. The Bristleback doesn't have any inherent disable, especially when he's going for this build. He's pretty much just a giant bag of meat that is hopefully trying to be distracting, but the only person you can truly distract is Jay and force him to maybe run away, but at this point it's a little bit too late for that, even just because Jay has pretty much the same exact health pool as the Bristleback. If the Bristleback charges the Sniper is more than happy with that. He just fires into the Bristleback, and Bristleback eventually just has to run away. So the Bristleback's lack of CC really to follow up on is really hurting Winter, because whoever he goes for is going to be put into a bubble or fissured or bailed out by a hookshot or a Storm Spirit or something. So at that point, you're just wandering around throwing quills and hoping that's enough, but at this point, you need a little bit more than quill spray to actually contribute to your team.
Well, at the moment, things have slowed down a little bit. Mineski will angle to put some pressure on top and farm up in the enemy woods, and a similar move by GGuard. At the moment, things are just about neck and neck, but if an actual fight breaks out, things could go south for either side, depending on how that opens up. Bristleback's inside mid lane, and he could be collapsed upon. At the moment, he has no team behind him.
Well, he's going to know more or less where the Storm Spirit is at the very least, so he knows that if danger comes, it's going to be coming from the north. The Storm Spirit, though, he just wants to jungle, and, well, he's going to get his gold. 2,000 gold on him. BKB is in the works, I would assume, for the Storm Spirit with that Ogre Club, and once that happens, then officially GGuard have no more answers. I guess they would have if the Lina had an Aghanim Scepter, but her BKB is completed. We'll see if it actually does anything for her. It's still at 10 seconds, so super valuable item for her to make sure that she uses responsibly. But yeah, this is, BKB on the Storm Spirit is going to be probably even more dangerous than the Eye of Scotty on the Sniper. Jay's already doing his job, Scotty or not.
Yeah, I mean, it's for sure nice to have, but the BKB on Storm means there's literally no answers on GGuard's side. Their damage at the moment, their physical damage from the Jug, is pretty limited, even if he eats the entire Omni Slash, and that would require Storm Spirit to be completely out of mana. With a regeneration rune in the bottle and a 10 charge Bloodstone, that's just not possible. Tier 2 tower up towards top is going to end up going down. Storm Spirit, sitting on the remainder of a DD, would love to take a fight now. I mean, this is pretty much a perfect storm for the Storm Spirit, but it looks like the DD is going to expire. Regardless, Mineski are putting high ground pressure, and they're just waiting for GGuard to make a move. O is in a nice position for a Blink and Echo Slam from the sidelines if they go on. Jay's Shadow Demon's there with Disruption at the ready. They're going to open up with the Light Strike ready. Laguna Blade and Dragon Slave onto Jay's. Drop down to less than half, but at the end of the day, that's all that happens.
I caught that pun, man. That was absolutely terrible. You should be ashamed of yourself.
It wasn't even supposed to be a pun, but you know what?
I believe you, man. Don't worry. It's okay. You're forgiven. It's fine. I expect better from you in the future. However, Jay, he's going to take a lot of damage. That's what happens when you put yourself in this kind of corner position. It's really good if the enemies have no range and they're all melee and you have to, like, you know, walk down the ramp and everything to get to you. But yeah, with Mask of Madness, he doesn't even have to teleport back to the base. He's healing up for about 20 a shot, and he'll be back up to at least fightable amounts of HP very shortly. It might be in the Roshan where the next fight is going to occur. GGuard, they have to swipe this one pretty quickly. Oh, they're going to just barely not get scouted by that flare. And this might prompt Mineski to go into the Roshan pit themselves. This is going to be a fairly even Roshan pit fight, though. GGuard, though, they do have some pretty good tools in the Omni Slash, the Static Storm, the Death Ward. Mineski have a Storm Spirit, and they have a Shaker and a Clockwork. These are comparable Roshan team fighting lineups, and with Jay and his ability to solo Roshan, that means the Sniper really doesn't have to be in, you know, the worst position. He could freely walk in and out of the pit depending on where his teammates are.
If there is a place for the Disruptor to get a good static storm off, however, it is in the Roshan pit. We really haven't seen very many thrown by the Disruptor, and much less ones that have a major impact. Kuku going to go into the Roche pit, drops a Remnant or two to get some vision, and just D-ward around the pit, and they're going to commit fully. GGuard are close enough to where they could contest if they feel that that's an option for them, but the Roshan is going to fall sooner rather than later. Mineski are just going to sit their sniper in the pit, everybody else at defensive positions.
Yeah, and this is not exactly the fastest Roshan in the world, no minus armor or anything like that, and Jay's damage output at this point is, I mean, it's high still, but it's not really into a Daedalus or an MKB or anything like that, so it's just a slow and steady type of race for the sniper. He is going to grab that double life, or at least secure the double life for his team. Someone grab that, okay. Storm Spirit is going to ball landing out, though. He sees net again, and the Disruptor will fall, and also up towards top. Ling is going to get jumped by the Storm Spirit. He has his Aegis, he doesn't care. He has BKB as well, though he's running low on mana. The Assassinate will take out the Witch Doctor, giving Jay a double kill. Perhaps a little bit less than ideal usage of the BKB there, but hell, they get 2 kills, and with the Orchid and the Bloodstone now with 11 charges, the Storm Spirit is going to have, again, fightable amounts of mana by the time they actually want to push this high ground. It seems like with 2 supports down, they might as well go for this push and see what they could grab. Jay has actually grabbed himself a Reaver. That's a little bit too defensive for my taste, but hey, if you're at 20k net worth as a sniper 30 minutes in the game, you can go for whatever you want. You could probably make it work. As long as the next item is a butterfly or something like that, I think it's going to be just fine. They're going to go instead for the top lane. I guess that was technically slightly weaker, and it is slightly more appealing to take. But over in mid, actually, Jesse Vash didn't get the memo. Yamte's going to get jumped, though. Laguna Blade onto Jesse Vash is not going to return any damage because of the BKB, and now Storm Spirit's going to get chopped down by the Omni Slash. But now Storm Spirit has a full mana pool, and Yamte, on his way out, is going to get assassinated. He will survive. Net gets a Static Storm onto only Oa, however, and he will pay the price as Taiga does finish him off. He'll get stunned up by the cast, but he's still more than happy to turn around and fight if it does come to it. Jay is going to sit in the BKB, stand his ground, but has to disengage from the Death Ward. Taiga's going to jump right in and cancel the Death Ward with the Assassinate. Incoming Witch Doctor is going to fall. Jay still on the retreat. Yamate Winter charging forward, but not quite fast enough. They're going to catch Evil Scepter onto the Shadow Demon, but with the Fissure again from Oa, they will be forced to disengage now. G still very much so alive. And Taiga, he's going to jump right in. He wants to go for Winter. BKB active once again. He doesn't have enough mana for a pull, unfortunately, for the Storm. He has to retreat, but Jay, he's still firing off. He's so tanky at this point. Even at half HP, he's at 1400, which is a lot more than snipers usually have. They'll take down the tier 3. They'll make a 2-for-1 trade. I believe that's all the kills that happened, and they will retreat afterwards. That was an absolute mess, man, but Mineski, they take a tower. They don't really lose that much. In fact, I do still think they straight out won that fight. So, though it wasn't exactly what they wanted, it's still pretty darn good.
It wasn't necessarily a clean trade, and they didn't get the melee barracks, which is, or range barracks for that matter, which is the takeaway, I suppose. They didn't completely breach high ground. It's still advantageous for them, but GGuard are going to be happy that they hold. Jay, as you already mentioned, is probably the tankiest sniper I've ever seen. This Reaver, I'd expect it to be a Satanic, then he replaces the Mask of Madness, but yeah, this is an incredibly strength-heavy build.
And this is going to be hurting his damage output by quite a bit. Usually at this point, or at least after the Eye of Scotty, after the BKB, at that point the only really aggressive item you have is the Mask of Madness, and it's starting to fall out. At least it's not enough damage for what you really want to be doing as sniper. So something like a Butterfly, Daedalus MKB are usually the pickups there. Hell, even a Mjolnir won't be too terrible. But for Jay, he's going to decide to tank up, and Satanic should be the build here. I honestly don't see any benefit of Heart over Satanic in this situation. So yeah, Satanic, even keep the Mask of Madness on your person because it gives you attack speed, why not? But then Sniper is going to be just completely unkillable. Like, outside of an Omni Slash, I don't even know if that's going to be enough. Will Omni Slash actually kill off Jay at this point? It's going to be really close.
I'm tempted to say no. I have Scotty on the Juggernaut is going to help a little bit with just the raw stats, but he's getting away with this because he just has a raw advantage over the Jug. Of about 7k in the net worth lead, and Juggernaut's items also aren't giving him that much damage. The advantage that Ben has is that he has Omni Slash and a built-in crit to help him get over this hump, but Sniper is still doing comparable amounts, and it's a lot easier for Jay to position compared to the Juggernaut. He's going to be able to do it more consistently. Once the Courier comes back online, we should see Sniper pick up his item. Maybe he saves for buyback before finishing the Satanic, but honestly, oh, it's actually a Heart. Okay. This is going to give him more raw HP to work with, and he won't have to replace the Mask of Madness to get lifesteal. I don't like this build. No, honestly, Sniper would love to have a little bit more damage. This kind of puts a timer on Mineski at the moment. If they delayed this game out for another 20 or so minutes, they could really run into issues where they're not able to kill off the Bristleback and Jug in particular.
Yeah, it doesn't seem like that's really a possibility at this point, but it eventually will come down to that if Jay continuously builds up these pure tanky items. Like, you look at the sniper's build, and you don't exactly expect this to be a sniper. Maybe like a lifestealer or something like that will go for this type of build. Or, yeah, that's pretty much all I could think about. A lifestealer or nothing, right? I don't think any other hero would really be comfortable with this type of build, but he has 3600 HP. He is hitting still pretty darn hard, but really not as hard as he really should. I think the Heart and Scotty is overkill. Like, go for one of them and be happy with that, but yeah, at a certain point, your sniper doesn't need to be that tanky, especially with the defensive tools of Mineski. So they're just going to go for it anyway. They do have, you know, a really big item on the sniper. He will be able to eat a Laguna Blade to the dome and the entire Lina combo as well, and still walk out of there at probably more than half HP. So that might be a deceptive play there for the sniper, but for right now, he's just going to push the high ground. Winter is right in his face, but I don't think the sniper really notices nor cares, and oh well, Taiga's gonna jump right in. He has net in his sights. Hookshot gonna whiff, but I don't think Taiga's gonna let up right now. The heal is gonna keep the Disruptor alive, albeit barely. And now the Storm Spirit, he already uses BKB. He already used a lot of his mana pool. He's gonna glimpse back very short, but he has to bail out. Ben is coming in hot, has Omnislash, but oh, off to the side. He's gonna land a 2-man Echo, which is gonna completely hold out Ling and Yamate. Omnislash off to the side is gonna get blocked by the Disruption. Ben, his Omnislash did nothing, and now Jay's in a perfect position to just keep firing off. He's not going to have a great target, however. Ben getting hit with the fissure once again. Owa's going to blink forward for another stun onto this Juggernaut. He's dropping so very low, but not really quickly because Jay doesn't have that much damage at this point. He's eating Death Ward shots like it's nothing, but he's not really returning any damage in kind. He will take down Ben eventually. Now he's going to try to go for Yamate as Taiga does rejoin this fight. They'll take down the Lina. Now they have Net in the corner. He's also going to die. It's a triple kill for Jay. And Shaker somehow escapes from that situation up to the left side of the high ground. They'll take down the range racks. They should take down the melee as well. Yamate is going to buy out. But what could he do by himself? Because, well, I mean, he's not technically by himself, but for the most part he is. Top Raxes are already destroyed, and there's another Fissure primed and ready from Owa. He'll throw it and then just decide to back off because the rest of the team, they're going to go over towards the mid lane. Jay can tank tower shots at this point and not really mind or care or notice. GGuard, they have to deal with this sniper. He's just an unmovable force right now, especially when everyone is going to come in to bail him out. Yamate is going to get pecked down slowly but surely by the sniper. They're going to focus now Ling and Winter all at the exact same time, and I don't think any of these heroes are going to escape. Ling's going to get his head blown off. Winter is the only one to limp out of there alive. It's a beyond godlike streak from Jay, and yeah, he's still at full HP because that seems fair. It's a GG call from GGuard, and Mineski systematically disassembled GGuard's team comp. Oh man, this was a Storm Spirit game, man. That's what happens when you don't have proper CC to answer it.
I don't think I've ever seen a sniper out-tank a Bristleback. Out-damage, sure, but out-tank? No. But this was the game. Jay was completely immovable. It's a playstyle that you usually see from Deuces that just get, like, I don't know, Scotty, Scythe, Manta, and just sit on the high ground, shoot away at the high ground, and beg the enemy team to do something about it. There just wasn't anything to be done, however. Jay just planted himself in the enemy base and didn't move. Mineski are going to come away with a Game 1 victory.
Alright guys, this is a best of 3, so GGuard have, I guess, in theory, 2 more shots to defend their $500, but yeah, that'll happen in just a little bit, guys. I'm Mikelorus, I've been joined by GrandisV, and we'll both be right back for Game 2 between Mineski and GGuard.